boss. Got a lot to tell you about what's been going on for me and for New Zealand, the journey that, we started a journey. I hope that sounds okay. We started a journey about six or 7 years ago. A group of us when the COVID came out, and what's the time? I'll have to keep a check on that time. So I'm trying to make this a 20-minute video, and I'm going to try and make it a 20-minute video, but there's so much trouble going on in Australia, Scotland, England, Ireland, New Zealand, Australia, and America. All of, the Asia, they're out of it, but our English-speaking countries, we're in a lot of trouble. We're in a lot of distress, and people are not understanding how it's come to be that our legal systems have got police able to beat our people up, crash into their homes, drag pregnant women out of their homes, put them in the prison. They're putting people in prison for speaking. There's a lot of things are going on, and everybody's scared. And about 6 years ago, I thought to myself, how can they do this? Because we were always seen as being the safest countries and the countries where we could grow and we could speak, and that's gone all pear-shaped now. But I wanted to find out why that is. And I did go into the court to take Jacinda Ardern into the court, Prime Minister of New Zealand, to stop. People were losing their jobs. People were being dragged out of their houses, and people were being forced to inject their children with medicines that they didn't understand if they were good or not. And not only that, thousands and thousands and thousands of acres of lands and millions of dollars, billions of dollars are being sent off to Ukraine, sent off to Israel, while our own people are sleeping in the streets, got no homes, got no jobs, because of all this chaos that's going on. So anyway, we're over in New Zealand, so I want to show you some of my cases in New Zealand, how far I've gotten in my cases. And if you just follow Catherine Sextus, what I've always been fighting for is the will of Jesus and the law of Jesus. And there truly is, if you could just know that there truly is a Jesus law, a law that is nestled in the arms of Jesus. And that law was removed in New Zealand in 1983 by Jeffrey Palmer and a group of people who were Jewish people, and they removed our 1858 laws. Now, I'm just gonna show you this law, and I'm gonna show you truly, I'm not lying to you, that our countries, our Western English-speaking countries, have always been and are governed by Jesus. And the reason we're in so much trouble is that they removed Jesus. They removed us from Jesus' arms and from those protections. So we'll get started, and I'll show you all these things. Hope you can hear me. So, hang on, where is this law now? I have to try and find it. I'll put this one over here. So, you can see here, this is called the, this one here is called the, I've done something here. This one here is called, you see here, it's called the Laws of England. And And anybody, it's very hard to find this one, but if you look here, let's see now, if you go to find and translate here, you can go to find, and you've just got to tap in here. Turn that off. So if you tap in here, I'm going to show you. You just tap in here, Jesus, and it will come up for you. And so this was the law. It says this is the blasphemy law. So a lot of people are saying that our countries are secular countries, but they in fact are not. They are governed by Jesus and protected by Jesus. We might have that a bit louder, huh? They're governed by Jesus and protected by Jesus. And you'll see here profane words about God. I think I can make it a bit bigger. Can I make it a bit bigger? Is far below these words. So there you go. There's the law of Jesus. Profane words about God, contemptuous reproaches of Jesus Christ, profane scoffing at the Holy Scriptures or exposing them to ridicule. And so that is called the blasphemy law. And a lot of these religions don't believe in Jesus. The reason they say they don't believe in Jesus is because they don't believe in this law here, the law of Jesus, and this is our foundation law. It was removed in 1983. Now you look here, you can even change this here, and you can put in there God, and you see that God comes up 6 times. And that's what it says there, is that the divine law is that which is written in the Holy Scripture. And I think I can just move this a bit for you. There you see. And this prescribes rule for the spirit and the conscience of a man. And it puts a bridle on his heart to guide and control it. And the law of God condemns the evil thoughts and evil desires of the heart, of which the outward actions are the manifestations. So that's God there. And then you can click here and go to number 2. And number 2 says, there's the prescribed rules for spirit and the conscience. What's the bridle? I don't know where that one is. Go to number 3. It's not really coming up here. Why is it not coming up? So this one says, whether the law be human or divine, it ought to have the same fountain, that is God. So there's 2 kinds of laws, how it came up with, there were 2 kinds of laws. One is the law of the humans and one is the law of the divine. But whatever fountain that they came from, that is God, divine law was revealed by God himself. And good human law is built up by man upon the divine law. Okay, so human law without the divine law is going to cause all of these bad things that we are having. And then on number 4, while yet within it is seen by God and is condemned by his law and will be punished by him. So, but God can see the sins before we can see them. But when we see them, we take them to the court. The next one is, this one here, it says, profane words about God. This one's, if you go back here, if you go here, it says here, if there's any crimes against God, it says, see the blasphemy law. And so that's God, this is God on number 40, and he says, see the blasphemy law. And if we go back to the blasphemy law, that's the blasphemy law right there, that you cannot speak against God. Well, that means that when you do a bad thing, that is against God in itself, right? The first law that came under God, the very first one, I'm not sure if I can show it to you. Let's see if I can find it. I don't really want to do it. Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time. One of the things that is close to my heart is the second law of God was that the taking of a baby, which is abortion, would give the doctor or the person doing it imprisonment for life. Now, I just want to talk a little bit about that one. I just want to talk a little bit about that one because over in England, they've been aborting around 250,000 babies per year are being aborted in England. I'm not sure about Ireland and Scotland, but in New Zealand, 17,000 white, blue-eyed babies are being slaughtered by the abortion law every year since 1975. So far they have aborted around about 900,000 white, blue-eyed babies have been, I think it's 900,000, have been aborted in New Zealand since 1975. Over in England, they have been aborting up to 200,000 white, blue-eyed babies per year. So this is very serious. So these laws of England absolutely forbid any type of abortion at all. So that's there. So that just shows you that, you know, we truly do have a Jesus law. And if we were all following the Jesus law in our country, if our governments had not removed this in 1983, then we would not be in this problem. Now, I better get moving here, right? So, the next piece that we went to, I just wanted to show you, was this Bill of Rights, 1688. So here is the Bill of Rights, 1688. Now, this law here was removed from us in 2014. In 2014, the New Zealand government and the English government as well removed the Bill of Rights 1688, and they put it into a law called the Parliamentary Privileges Law. Now this is a very important law also because this is also God's law, and because it will tell you in here, if I can find it. So the most important thing about this law is that no foreign people, no foreigners can govern over us. That's the UN. It forbids any foreign prince, foreign person, prelate, state or potentate has or ought to have any jurisdiction or power or superiority, ecclesiastical or spiritual, within this realm, so help me God. And so that is one of the main ones, but there's a great deal of things in here. This is what holds our right to have juries. It's what holds our right to hold property, taking our property as a forfeiture of person without conviction. It holds our right to not receive cruel and unusual punishments. It holds our right to speak freely and not be arrested for speaking or making a Facebook post. And this is a Protestant law, and so that's why they took it out, because they said that we should not have this this Protestant law. So in 2000, you can see here it says, and whereas the late King James, having abdicated the government and the throne thereby vacant, His Highness the Prince of Orange. Now it says the Highness Prince of Orange, whom it has pleased Almighty God to make the glorious instrument of delivering this kingdom from popery and arbitrary power. It only makes the prince or the king an instrument, and that prince or king must protect all of these rights for us. And if that prince or king does not protect all of these rights, then we have the right, via the subjects' liberties to be allowed, we have the right to remove any government, any king, for not upholding our rights and not protecting us. So that's why this is such an important document. So this was taken from us in 2014. Now, what had happened was, a lot of you already know that I went to the court and I took this Bill of Rights to the court, and I said to the court, hey, the governments are not upholding our Bill of Rights, and I asked the court for a declaration. Now, as you all know, the court said that I would have to pay for that, and they put me out of the court. And then I'll just tell you a little bit about I'm going to take you to a place where you can go and find all of the laws that you need to find, so that you can study and find ways to protect yourself within the courts and within this government. You've got dictator governments in England, dictator governments in Scotland, dictator governments in Ireland, in New Zealand and Australia. And these governments are not working according to our Jesus laws. And they're working towards other kinds of laws that don't have any Jesus in it. We really truly need to fight to bring back our Jesus laws, which will protect us from all of these religions and these communist governments, dictator governments, and all of those things, right? So another thing that has happened is that there's a vessel found down on the Chatham Islands. Now that vessel was implanted into the virginal cavity of the Chatham Islands around about almost more than 1,000 years ago. Now that was, it's a long story for that one, but that one there was a lot of the artefacts that have been found in New Zealand are being destroyed by the New Zealand government and the New Zealand Maori to hide the fact that our people had been living in those countries for thousands of years before what they're trying to say that we're living there. They're trying to say that we've only lived there a couple of 100 years, but in fact, if you look at the evidence, our people, white, blue-eyed, blonde-haired people, have been living in those countries for thousands of years, and they are covering it up. So that vessel down on the Chatham Islands, they digging it up out of the ground, and they've been destroying all artifacts, any artifacts that are talking about the Vikings, the Celtic tribes, the Germanic tribes. All of those things are being destroyed. So I had gone to the court over that. Now I'm just going to take you to somewhere. So I'm going to show you how you can find me. So I'll just make this a bit smaller, I think. I don't know how to do this. Turn that off. So if you just look here. So you just go in there and you just Google Sixtus, that's me. This is my name here. You can see here, my name is Catherine and Sixtus. That's my name there, and you can Google it in, and you'll see all about me here. And so I've been on this for a very long time. A lot of people get confused about what I'm fighting for, but I've always been fighting for Jesus. That's what I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for Jesus, right? So that's what I'm fighting for, Jesus. Now, but if you go up here and you type in SIXTUS, right? I'll just show you. And then you put in NZLII. And then you put in database there. And then that's going to take you to this NZLII database. So this is where all the laws for all nations all around the world can go to these laws and find out what's going on with these people. They're very particular, these laws. They don't really put in criminal laws here, but they put in a lot of people like me that are fighting for constitutional laws. So this is here. So let's go and have a look. So you go in here, and then You see, there's all these bills and laws here that you can go to. But if you go here to the search, right, and then you put in Sixtus, again, you got to put in Sixtus quite a lot of times, right? And then you click search. This is just new here, this here. So now you see here, this is all my cases, Sixtus Versadern. And this is my very, very first case that started out in 2022. And you see all these law science pieces here. That's all the times that my cases have been cited in the international arena. And so you see here that there's 1 citation, 3 citations, and these are, I don't know why they put the Human Rights Act on here, but just a reminder that I have always been fighting against a law in the Human Rights Act that is called KII. Now, what is KII? KII says that New Zealand will be bound to every international instrument on human rights. So that means that you're going to be bound to the United Nations. You're going to be bound to... now, I haven't even started. I'm not doing KII today. But actually, that I've always been fighting against the human rights because of... Oh, excuse me. Because of Section KII, I've always been... Is my hair sticking up? Sorry. I've always been fighting against the human rights and KII. But they always pin this human rights onto me. But I'm always fighting for our Bill of Rights 1688. I'm never fighting for that human rights. But that's a little bit of a sneaky thing that they put in on top of me. But anyway, just go back there. Now, what I want you to do is, if you look here, I'll get myself out the way. So what I want you to do is, if you look here, you'll see here, this is the, if you go here, you'll see here NZ, oh, don't go there, go here. You'll see here NZHC. You see that? NZHC. Well, that is the New Zealand High Court. And what you do is you just go underneath here, High Court of New Zealand, and you'll see that these are all the decisions that have ever been made in New Zealand. And the High Court of New Zealand started in 1847, right? You can click through a few of these if you want to. But this is, the important thing to know is that the High Court began only in 1847 in New Zealand. Now, these laws coming out of New Zealand govern all Western countries, 161 countries. They govern 161 countries all around the world, including Thailand. Even Thailand is governed by all of this. Any country that has a king is governed by these laws, because these are all king's laws. So every single country in the world that is governed by a king is coming under these laws, and coming under this Jesus law, and coming under this Bill of Rights 1688. So that's why the whole world has gone mad, because they've removed Jesus, right? So this is the High Court decisions. Now you can go here, and then you go to NZCA, so that's NZHC. Go to NZCA, and this is called the New Zealand Court of Appeal. And if you go to there, the Court of Appeal, you'll see that the Court of Appeal of New Zealand, or for the 161 countries all around the world, they started in 1867. That's the first case ever. There's only one case. In 1867, there was one case, okay, in NZCA. So that was there. So this is for the Court of Appeal, right? Then the next one is the Supreme Court, of course, and you can go down here, NZSC, NZSC is the New Zealand Supreme Court. And you just click under here. And then you'll see, what you'll see there is that New Zealand Supreme Court only began in 2004. Now this occurred in all of the countries. So all these countries, the 161 countries, all countries that are governed by a king. Up until 2004, you could go to the High Court if you had any constitutional issues. You could go to the High Court first. After that, you would go to the Appeals Court. And if it failed in the Appeals Court, you could appeal to the Privy Council of England, and it would go outside of your country. So all of our countries were very, very well protected, because the governments in the 161 countries that held kings knew that if in the Court of Appeal they did not uphold our right, our 1688 right, and our protections, then the laws of England would be able to remove them from their position. Now, the ability to appeal to the Supreme Court of England was removed in 2004, and that's why you see in the Supreme Court of New Zealand only begins in 2004, right? Fighting for Jesus. Just always remember that, you know, my heart, if I think about, you know, it's such a beautiful thing to be fighting for Jesus, and anybody that wants to get on with me and fight for the Bill of Rights 1688 and the laws of England and know that we're fighting for Jesus, it's a real privilege to be fighting for Jesus and nothing else, and that's all I'll fight for. But anyway, let's do our thing. So then I just told you about the Moriori. So that's the three courts that you see. So we'll just go and do one more time. Here you've got this High Court, and they started 1847, right? And there's only one case, that's the R versus Simmons in the New Zealand High Court. And then you've got your Court of Appeal, and you can click on your Court of Appeal, and that'll take you to 1867, and you can see their first case there. And then you've also got your Supreme Court, and if you go to the Supreme Court, now where am I looking for? I was looking for something, and then that'll take you to the Supreme Court, which started in 2004. And so these were all the Supreme Court states. Now the Supreme Court one that you want to look at is this Zowie versus the Superintendent. This was the first Muslim that ever entered a Supreme Court of New Zealand. You want to go and read about this Zowie. So this was a very bad thing, but I'm not doing that today. So the other thing that you can do on here is, you remember that I've been fighting for the vessel on the Chatham Islands. Well, that's going to take you to the, I went to the, this is called NZMLC, which stands for the New Zealand Maori Land Court. And if you go to the New Zealand Maori Land Court, that's going to show you that the New Zealand Maori Land Court, or Maori Land Court of New Zealand, began in 1948, right? So it's just helpful for you to know. So these are the most important cases of the New Zealand Maori. The Parramatta case is a very important case, and you can learn a lot by reading here. There's only 4 cases here, but you can go and read them if you want to. I don't know. So this will take you to, these are all handwritten. So this case here was handwritten. So I might go back and read it myself. And then if you go to, then they threw me out of that court, and I went to the Maori Appellate Court. That's called the New Zealand Maori Appellate Court. And you'll go and look here. And the New Zealand Maori Appellate Court began in 1947 as well, like our High Court, right? and then you'll see their first cases. So these are very interesting if you want to know about the rulings that the New Zealand Maori came under. This involves all of our lands and things, so it might be a bit slow. So maybe I won't do that. I won't do it. There you go. So that just lets you know the first case in 1947. Now, if you can see on the Sixtus cases, what you're going to see here is that all of the laws of the High Court, all of the laws of the Court of Appeal, all of the rulings of the Supreme Courts of New Zealand, all of the rulings of the Maori Land Court, and all of the rulings of the Maori Appellate Court. Okay, so that's going to show that. Now I want you to just go down here. So my family, that I told you that my family were brought to New Zealand by the New Zealand government, and the New Zealand Maori chiefs brought my family to New Zealand out from Germany, from the Hanseatic States of Germany. They were a native people, and they owned all of the Chatham Islands. Queen Victoria in 1842 confiscated that, and they were forced to swear allegiance to the Queen. Now, these people came under the Salic law, which meant that under Salic law, only a king could succeed to a king. No queens, no queens. So if the king did not have a son, then it had to go to the king's brother. If the king died, it would go to his brother, or it can go to his nephew, but it could not go to a woman. Queen Victoria was the first woman, but let's remember, Queen Victoria was the Dunbar of India. So she was not actually the Queen of England, or not even of Germany. She was the Dunbar of India. And so there's a big story there. But what had happened was, when this Maori Land Court opened up, originally everybody was allowed to go to the Maori Land Court, but they made some extra laws so that people like me, blonde-haired, blue-eyed people, well, I'm not quite blonde, but brown-haired. It's brown, it's looking dark, but it's actually quite light. It's brown. It's not black. But anyway, the Maori Land Court, the vessel on the Chatham Islands, when they got that vessel and started yanking it up out of the ground, digging it up out of the ground and destroying it, when I went to the Maori Land Court to say, hey, that vessel there, that ship there, I believe that ship is the ship that brought my family out from Germany and trapped us into 5 generations of white slavery in New Zealand, and never allowed to leave. Our souls never allowed to leave. I said to them, I want that vessel. It belongs to my family. Of course, it's going to be held in a museum, but you know, we get rights to the care of it, and to say that yes, that was our vessel and our people exist, and we get quite a lot of things actually. Well, the Maori Land Court said, well, you're not Maori, you're not brown, so you cannot come to this court. And so I've been appealing that. Well, I just want to show you the first document that was held by the 5 Sixtus brothers when we were trapped in New Zealand. This is an interesting document because it takes you to all of the ancient laws. So I'll just take you to that. If you go to section 2, so you go to section 2, you'll see the German Settlers Naturalisation Act 1844. And if you go under that, you go to the New Zealand Acts as enacted. And click on that somehow. And this will take you back to 1841. So this will go far, far back to 1841. It doesn't go back to 1840. And this is all the laws that were created. And then if you go to, now 1843 has been removed, but 1844, you'll see the German settlers' naturalisation. And from this, don't know if you can see this. So from this, you'll see the 5 Sixtus brothers, which is Andreas Sixtus down here, and Carl Christian Sixtus, and Christian Andreas Sixtus, and Wilhelm Sixtus, and Gottfried Sixtus. So I'm the great 5 times great granddaughter of Gottfried Sixtus. Now, this name here is actually a code. It's not a name. You go and ask people in Germany, they will tell you it's not a German name. It's actually a code. And if you there's quite the story about the code of this name. But anyway, the S and the I is actually the psi in math, and it means the principal times, principal times rate times time. Principal times rate times time. And this was going to be the beginning of a financial venture that occurred between these 161 countries that goes over into Antarctica and all the Pacific region. That they're now calling it the Indo-Pacific, but it was not called the Indo-Pacific before. And so all of these countries invested down there, and then all of our people that were taken to these countries on the ships, we were the principal times rate and times time, because they borrowed billions of dollars into the future on our white slave labor. Now, that whole situation is coming to an end. And in 2026, in October, between the 12th of October and the 18th of October, I think it's 18th or 19th, I think it's 18th, the 18th of October, 161 countries that belong to the IMF are coming to Thailand to close up these accounts. So that's why all the lands are being given. They say they're giving all these lands to the indigenous people, and they're giving hundreds of billions of lands to them, and they're giving them hundreds of billions of dollars. They're saying to all of the Anglo-Saxon blue-eyed white people that these are not your countries and you do not belong here. You cannot call them your own, and you have got no right to any governance over yourselves in these countries anymore. And so this is what has occurred, and this is what is occurring. This is why we must diligently and desperately fight for Jesus, right? So just go back there.
Maybe.
So
Just maybe.
so that's a code there, that Sixtus name. There's more codes there for the US, but I'm still working it out. But yes, that's a code there. So now what do I want to tell you? So let's just go back here. So I'll just do one. I like to do the reviews because some people get confused. So the final review is that yes, you've got your High Court, you've got your Court of Appeal, you've got your Supreme Court, then you've got your Maryland Court, and then you've got your Maori Appellate Court, and then you just whip down here to number 2, and then you've got your German settlers, and you've got your new. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Actually, I've missed it. You've got your New Zealand Acts enacted, and you actually, if you go over to,
Just maybe.
oh, is it not there? There should be. You can go to that. So if you go to that 1908, now this 1908, I'm about to tell you about a law here. So this law here is called the Commissions of Inquiry Act, which was set up in 1908. And this was exactly the Commission of Inquiry that was going to be set up to distribute all of those lands, hundreds and hundreds of thousands. We even over here in Thailand, between Cambodia and Thailand, there's been thousands of acres of lands confiscated, and they're over in New Zealand, over in Ireland, all of our countries. So all of these lands have become part of the commissions of inquiry was set up in 1908. There were very strict rules. I'm going to come to this in a minute. So go back here. So if you go to that 1908 consolidation, what you'll see here is the New Zealand Acts, 1841 to 207 that I told you. But you can also go to the New Zealand Acts and looky. And this will take you all the way back to 1275. And these are the Edwardian laws. And if you go here, look what you're going to see. Look what you're going to see. You're going to see our Bill of Rights, 1688. You see? You can't get into it here, but you can just put in, like you just put in, look, I'll just show you, just put in Bill of Rights, 1688, New Zealand, and you'll get it there. Don't let them tell you the 1689. So you can just get it right there. Oh, why did I get that? Not there. No. Hang on. Here. So you just will get it right there. You've got to do this thing now. So that's going to take you to your Bill of Rights. Okay. Oh, this is the old version. Because they've changed it. Never mind, we're not talking about that. But anyway. So that comes under all these laws here. All right. So that's the 1275. So some of these laws that are going to be interesting for you are the Statutes of Westminster, which is over there in England. We start with the Statutes of Westminster. Then we can move on to the Magna Carta that you all know about. Then you go on to the criminal and civil justice. This is all the beginnings of our laws. And so if you want to fight for what's going on and all of these terrible, terrible things, you have to go and study all of these laws, and you have to know where the laws came from. So we're not doing criminal law, but we want you to go and look here. Petition of Rights, 1627. And then your Bill of Rights, 1688. And then you've got your Act of Settlement, right? So they're all in here that you can go and get them. Set off the Act, all right? So that's that. I'll just go through that with you one more time. You just go to number 2. You go to the German settlers naturalisation. Everything comes under Germany. You go to your New Zealand Acts. And then you go down here to your 1908, and then that is going to give you the New Zealand Acts, and it's also going to give you these ones. And that's where you'll find all your first laws, right? So now I'm going to take you to the Waitangi Tribunal, and the Waitangi Tribunal has told me. So what has happened was that I had put in a claim. I've been in many courts, actually, many courts for many years now. I've been fighting for this Bill of Rights, 1688. Well, I put in a claim at the Waitangi Tribunal for the Chatham Islands, because this Jesus law is planted on that piece of land. There are pieces of land all around the world that are not owned by anyone. They are held by the crown or by the king, even on the borders of Cambodia and Thailand, on the borders of Laos and Thailand, on the borders, all of those border areas where there was a lot of fighting when they were setting up those borders. They made those borders buffer zones, and they were called God's land. You could not buy the land there. You could not sell the land there. You could not build on the land there. You could not live on the land there, because it was God's land. Because God said, I'm going to give you all this land, all this whole world, but these pieces here, you keep those for God. You don't touch those pieces of land. Now that Chatham Islands is God's land. You could not buy it. You cannot sell it. You could use it. You can borrow it, but nobody was allowed to own it. Well, in 2000 and I don't know, maybe 18 or something like that, the Moriori Trust put in a claim for that land. Not only that, in other places around the world that these things are going on. The government has decided to hand these lands back for buying and selling and doing all those things, because they've removed God, they've removed Jesus. And we need to, if we allow them to remove these laws from those lands, this English law, if we allow them to remove it from those lands, Jesus will be gone forever. You might think, well, why do we need Jesus? Well, because Jesus is the one that our Bill of Rights 1688 sits on top of, which forbids foreigners from governing over us. That's the main one, that no foreigners can come into our country and govern over us, that they cannot do cruel and unusual punishments to us, that we have the right to speak freely about the things that are important to each and every one of us if we want to, and that they cannot take our land from us without a conviction. They cannot put us in prison without a conviction. All of these many, many things come under that Bill of Rights. So that is basically what the Jesus law is. Now, the Waitangi Tribunal in New Zealand, you may think that it's only set up for in New Zealand, but it's not. This Waitangi Tribunal is representative of all of those 161 countries. It's representative of Australia. It's representative of Ireland. It's representative of Canada. It's representative of Thailand. Any country with kings where lands are being handed back, where they're taking these lands out of God's hands and putting it into the commercial realm for monetary gain, so that they can drill for their oil and dig for their gold. When they can do all that, so that land, so that's why this 1688 Bill of Rights and that land is so important. The Waitangi Tribunal, in the beginning, they said that all people could go there. And so the Waitangi Tribunal, this is why I'm going to show you. This Waitangi Tribunal is governed by these rights. So this is called the Commissions of Inquiry Act 1998. So you've got your Jesus laws here. Wait till I put in Jesus. So you've got your Jesus law here, right? There's Jesus right there protecting us, taking care of us. And then you've got your Bill of Rights, 1688, that's got all your protections. You've also got this Commissions of Inquiry. That meant that everybody could go. Now, under this one, the Commissions of Inquiry was Section 4A. I don't know if I can make that a bit bigger or not. I don't think so. So this here is that persons are entitled to be heard. That means that if any person, he or she, is party to an inquiry, satisfies the commission that he or she has an interest in the inquiry, apart from any interest in common with the public, he is entitled to appear and to be heard at the inquiry. And any person who satisfies the commission that any evidence given before it may adversely affect his or her interests shall be given an opportunity during the inquiry to be heard in respect of the matter to which the evidence relates. Now, as you know, if you go to Sixtus verse Moriori, as you know, you'll see there that that's me, Catherine Sixtus. They lie. they don't always tell the truth about me. So they tell parts of the truth, but they don't tell the absolute truth. So you can't believe everything that they say there, but it's about 80% is correct, and about 20% or sometimes more is not correct. But it changes. It changes. But if you look on here, you'll see that I was fighting for this vessel that's on the Chatham Islands, because I believe that if they uplift it, that is the removal of the Christ law from our land. And I want to keep the Christ law on our land, especially for my family that need to be protected. And so I went to the Maryland court, and the Maryland court said to me, well, you're not brown. You're not Maori, so if you're not Maori, you're not brown, and you can't come. The Maryland, it's not true what it says on here. The Maryland court said that you may well own this vessel. So they said you may well own this vessel, but the Maoris have had something to do with it. And if the Maoris have had something to do with it, they have the right to bring it to the Maori land court. What they said is that you, Catherine Sixtus, don't have the right to fight for that vessel, even if you own it, because the Maoris have touched it. So they said, we're going to give this vessel to the Maoris who want to destroy it, have destroyed it, are destroying it. Well, I was thinking to myself, well, how can it be that there's this court that says, because you're white, Catherine Sixtus, and you've got blue eyes, because your ancestors are Germanic, you are not allowed to come to this court to fight for a vessel that belongs to your family. And so I thought, how could this be? Well, how it can be, and this is not only talking about the vessel, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars have been taken from New Zealand people, English people, Irish people, Australian people, all around the world, and they're just taking this money and giving it to small groups and saying that this is your money for what stupid reason that they want. And people like you and me are not allowed to go to this court to have ourselves heard, to say that we don't agree with that. So these rights here, if you look here at the Commission of Inquiry, it's the person's right to be heard. Every person is entitled or given an opportunity to be heard under this section, may appear in person or by his or her counsel or by an agent. Now there's many, I'm not going to go into this, but there's many rights, all the way from 4A right through to section 9. There's all the rights that you have. But looky here, why are people having so much trouble going there? That's because the persons, have I got the right one here? I think I've got the wrong one. Hang on. Let me just put up the right one. This is the wrong one. All right, hang on. So this law was changed in 1980. So this is the Commissions of Inquiry Amendment Act. And what you'll see here, now I don't know why they've used a small a here, but I assume I'm not quite sure. But our one here that we've got here So there's our right to be heard here. Well, if you look here on the, this is called the Amendment Act. It was amended in 1980, right? And in 1980, the Principal Act, which I just showed you, is hereby amended by repealing sections 4A to 9. So all of our right to be heard at the Waitangi Tribunal was removed. All our right to view evidence and know of evidence was removed. All our powers of investigation or our rights to demand an investigation were removed. All our rights to summon witnesses, to challenge any witnesses, that was removed. All our rights to serve a summons on any of those people that were in the Waitangi Tribunal was removed. Protection of persons was removed. So all of this has been removed. And so that is pretty much why. So that is pretty much why all the white people in Australia, in Canada, Africa, America, South Africa, America, they all have been denied access to the court because of those laws there that have been removed. So what has been removed from us is 3 very significant laws. The laws of England were removed in 1980. The Waitangi Tribunal, which the Waitangi Tribunal is simply a commission of inquiry to collect all of the lands and all of the monies from the trust that have been sat there for 200 years, to collect all of that and to close down that trust and to give all of those lands and all of those monies back to the original people that built these countries. And so certain terrible families have gotten together to keep all of those lands and all of those monies for themselves. And all of us people that built those countries over 5 generations, 6 generations, we are going to be just, it's not going to be our country anymore. So the Waitangi Tribunal was set up to make the investigations, to hand all of those things over to very few families. So that was set up in 1975. In 1983, the Jesus Law was removed. The laws of England were removed from 161 countries. All countries that have got kings. Any country, if your country is a king country, that laws of England was removed from you, right? Because that's what we were all governed under. And then the next one that was that the English laws was removed in 1983. After the English laws were removed, this 1908 commissions of inquiry, the right to be heard, the right to participate in all of the proceedings, that was removed in 2013. And in 2014, the Bill of Rights 1688 was removed and given just to the parliamentary privileges, but it was removed from us, our right to petition the King, our right to petition outside of our countries. That was removed in 2014. And so there was something else that I had to say to you, but I can't quite remember everything. There's a lot to tell you. Trying to tell you in the easiest possible way that I can, but it's very, very lot of things to remember. But I mean, you just remember the Jesus Law, which is the laws of England, the Commission of Inquiry, which is your right to be heard, and your Bill of Rights 1688. Those 3 things were all removed, and that's why you've got no rights in these countries. Now we're going to do the human rights later. I've got to do some other rights now. Oh, that's what I wanted to say to you. Don't you think it's very interesting that these shipwrecks, so that there's a ship over here in Thailand called the Phnom Surin, and that was discovered in 2013 or so they say. Then you've got this Chatham Islands vessel. Well, they reckon it was discovered in 2024, but I don't think so because the archaeologist has been down there since 2013 when he set up his company. There's another ship over in Germany called the Bremen Cobb. So don't you think that it's interesting that these ships, these vessels are being uplifted out of the ground just in these times? And as these laws are being removed from us, so these vessels are being removed from the soil. And so I believe that there's a connection. Some people call me mad and crazy, but I think it's very connected. So that's the end of this video today. I'm going to try and I've got to do a follow-up. I think it's about an hour. It's going to be 20 minutes. It's going to be 20 minutes, but it's not 20 minutes, is it? It's 1 hour. So I'm going to be coming back. If you get over there, you just type in that Sextus. I'll just review it one more time for you. Yeah. You just get on over here to this. I'll turn all these off, right? I'll get all these off. So there's our Jesus law. That's what we're fighting for, Jesus. If you want to join Kate Floss, Catherine Sixtus, and join me in fighting for Jesus Christ, you can get on and join me. So you just put in Sixtus. You just put in Sixtus, and then you put in NZLII, data base, right? And then that's going to take you to the databases. And when you get there, you just go to search. You get to search, and you just put in Sextus, like that. And you go to search, right? And then you just go and you see me there. And the main one that you can go and have a look at these. You can go and look at this Maori Land Court. You can go and look at this Maori Appellate Court. And but the main one you want to go to, move it up a bit, is number 2. You get in this number 2 here. And you go to the German settlers, right? And then you just click on there. And then that's going to take you to the 1908 consolidation. I think you can actually I think you can actually just go to the High Court. Can you do it from there? No, you cannot. What about the Court of Appeal? No, you cannot. What about Supreme? No. The only way to... Well, that's interesting, isn't it? No. So the only way to get to those laws... Well, that's interesting. I did not know this, but the only way you can get to those laws is through the German settlers' naturalisation, right? And you just click on there, and then you go to the 1908 consolidation, and you can either go to the New Zealand Acts from 1841, and you'll find a lot of stuff, or you can go to the New Zealand Acts. That's going to take you back to 1275 and the Statutes of Westminster. So that's going to take you to all of that, right? And then, as I told you, the other one that you want to do is the Commission. The Commission of Inquiry. Oh, this is the amendment. That's the repeal. But you can just go to the Commission of Inquiry Act 1908, New Zealand. So this is the actual act that's in place right now, but don't be deceived. Don't be deceived, because it's sneaky, isn't it? All of this has been repealed. So this is all repealed, and you'll know that when you get down to you have to look down here. See these little small sections down here? If you're going to look here, this will lead you to the 1980, and it tells you that all of this has been repealed and replaced. Okay, so that's pretty much what I'm been doing. So I'll probably be going now, but just to let you know that I'm continuing the fight for Jesus and continuing to fight for our rights to be preserved and kept. So I think the final countdown is going to be in October 12th to the 19th in 2026. 161 countries from the IMF is coming to the nation of Thailand, and they're all going to sit down and fight about who's going to get these lands and who's going to get all this money that's in this trust fund. It's trillions and trillions of dollars. Who's going to get it? They're all going to be fighting now. They may come to agreements, or wars may be started. We don't know. But this is going to be significant. But what we've got to do, if we're just the little people, we don't get any say in any of this. But what we should be fighting for is our right to go to the court, our right to free speech and all of those things. Very important that we don't leave those things behind in all of this. So if anyone wants to support me, you can do it by studying, learning, watching my cases. I'm waiting for a ruling from the Maryland court. I'm waiting for a ruling from the New Zealand High Court. I'm waiting for 2 rulings from the Maryland court, a ruling from the New Zealand High Court, 2 rulings from the New Zealand High Court, which made me remember I forgot the date that I had to file a fixture. Oh my gosh. And I also have been given notice by the Waitangi Tribunal that they will not accept me into the court, but they will accept me to explain to them why I think that legally I should be allowed to go to their court. So it's the same battle. Waitangi Tribunal are saying to me, you are white, you are blue-eyed, even if you own the land, you cannot come to this court. And we cannot claim that land through the normal white man's high courts, so it's impossible. You can only claim it through those Maryland courts. So they have given me the letter to say that I can make the application, but they have said to me, it's likely that you'll be declined because you're not the right colour. Not the right colour. Yeah. Okay, so that's it from me, guys. Have a great day. Have a great day. Fighting for Jesus. Maybe I should have Jesus up there. Let's keep fighting for Jesus. See you later.